Yeah, why is it not at the forefront like that? Why have they not been, you know, why are they not highlighted and hailed in such a way, like you said, Picasso and so forth, and the like, as artists? Yeah, it's an interesting, definitely an interesting question. What the reason is why they're not highlighted in that way. They definitely exist. I mean, I'll definitely say they are. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the genre of like art and painting and so forth, right? To be honest with you, to give an informed like answer really, or like anything that I feel will be valid, I don't know enough about the history or culture of art to in that regard to say to make an informed opinion about it, which I would much rather do rather than talking about something I don't really know enough about. It's just something I don't know enough about to make a I'd want to make an informed opinion rather than an uninformed opinion, just one that's not really based on anything, you know? The only thing I think about is the fact that there are areas where you know, we are highlighted and hailed, but they're not in the areas of art. So it's an interesting question as why not in that area. Is it a case of there's not as many, or you know, I don't know. I mean, Basquiat was quite hailed. Basquiat, who was a young artist from New York, unfortunately he died early. Some people pronounce it Basquiat, some people pronounce it Basquiat. You could look him up. He's definitely one that stands out, and one that you know, he has paintings that sell for millions from what I've seen and stuff I've seen on the internet. You know, he was up there with he's held up there with your you know, Andy Warhol. You know, they were actually friends at one point, from what I've seen and read about. You know, who shared spaces together and did projects together and stuff like that, and were friends. You know, so he's from that time. You know, and he was you know, he's a black artist, painter, you know, of his time, who's now revered. You know, he's quite up there, I would say, in realms of what we're talking about in terms of noted artists and painters, etc. He was definitely one of those names that you could Google and hear all about him, you know. His paintings sell for like crazy money, like some of the others you would think about. He's definitely one of those where they talk about the greats in art and painting. He's definitely, he's a name that you would, you know, if you're in those circles, you would definitely know. If you're into art, you would definitely know that name, you know. You know, he's one of the names that you would hear mentioned in, like, if like Jay-Z's rapping about the art on his wall, you know, he would mention names like Basquiat, you know, or Warhol, or, you know, definitely, yeah. He's definitely, he's known, he's definitely out. He's one, I would say, that is definitely a name that in that arena is hailed and is known about and is popular and is, you know, you could say famous or celebrity if you like. Unfortunately, he died young, but he's one. I mean, I don't know, I can't think off the top of my head of any others. As I said, I'm not that knowledgeable in that arena enough to give an informed opinion as to why there's not more, you know, in terms of black culture and you know, black art history, if you like. But that's one. I don't know enough about it to really give an informed answer. I can only speak of one that I know about because of his popularity. I'm not as informed. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe he's just one of the ones that broke through, you know, you know, created a name. I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot though, you know. We definitely know he's not the only one out there. You know, I guess maybe he's just one of the ones that kind of reached that status. I'm sure he's not the only one. I'm sure people in those circles who know more about art and art history and culture will know more names, you know. Yeah, that's his surname, Basquiat. No, yeah, he died of an overdose in America when he was quite young. If you put that into YouTube, you'll see him with his crazy hair. He was one of the more prolific artists of his time, you know, during that time. There's a movie about him as well. There's actually a film about him. There's documentaries about him. You know, so he's definitely one of those that made his mark in his chosen field. That was a good question. I appreciate that. I hope I gave something of substance to the answer.